episode
14.
14.
Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a little bit of a while since you've seen us or heard us, but we are glad to be back and keep this content going and rolling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We will be talking about mandatory military
and we'll be talking about... I haven't decided that one yet. We'll get into that here in a little bit. What are we drinking?
We are drinking the original Hofbrau Dunkel. I think
Hofbrau Dunkel, Hofbrau Dark.
Dark. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is the original, though, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. No, actually, it's not. It's not. There's another one. It's like an orange one. But yeah, this is what we're drinking today. German beer. And I am wearing, I think, a 2014-2015 home Real Madrid jersey with Javier Hernandez Chicharito on the back. Welcome back to Pleb Talk.
Yes, sir. Crack that bad boy open. Cheers.
It's good, man. I remember the first time I had it was before I was into beers. There's a little local festival they have in Central Texas called what is it called? Oktoberfest? No, what is it called?
It was Oktoberfest.
But there's a different name to it, no? Is Oktoberfest that's the one they have in Germany?
They had the one.
It's what's it called?
It's in New Braunfels.
Yeah.
I thought it was Oktoberfest though.
That's like the theme and everything, but they have its own name. Oh shoot!
I'm gonna look it up now. God dang, it's good.
Yeah. So as you look that up, I had it there, and it was they have a bunch of the Oktoberfest beers. Those are just like special beers that German beer companies make.
Wurstfest,
exactly. At Wurstfest, they had a Hofbrau because I didn't know what I was looking at, so I told the guy, "Hey, what's the most popular one? What's a good one?" He said, "You gotta get the Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer." I got it. I loved it because it was really salty. It's like a little like a Mexican lager.
Okay.
But salty at the end where you don't have to put like a salt rim or anything. It was like a big jug of it too, you know.
Nice.
So I really like the company. Honestly, one of my staples in my beer collection for sure.
Okay, that's cool.
What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it's so. The reason why I chose this one today was because I wanted something smooth, easy to drink, but still had a good flavor, robust body, but it's still easy to drink.
5%, 5%, so 5.5. So
yeah, I wanted under 6%.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How you been, man? It's been a while since I've had this. Actually, I haven't seen you in person for a while actually as well.
It's been a long time, yeah.
How you been, man?
I've been pretty busy, but it's been good to be back. I've been actually looking forward to this for weeks now.
Yeah.
You know more than anyone. I've been texting you every week.
Yeah.
Hey man, we good? We good for this week? And just our schedules haven't been lining up, but here we are.
Here we are. Learning, growing, evolving as we go. But yeah, man, recently, actually, I have, through one of my friends, there's a foreign exchange student that is studying at the local university here from South Korea.
Interesting, okay.
He is studying architecture, and it's something I knew before, but I had forgotten and was reminded once I met him, is that in South Korea, I don't know if it's all females, but I know all males are required to serve.
Hold that.
Yes.
Before we get into the main topic, I just have a little bumper thing first.
Sure.
All right. So before we get into the main topic, I just have a question for you. This isn't meant to be long or anything. Just maybe a little 5 minutes, 10 minutes, little thing.
Yeah.
But so this just hit me like a week or two ago. Like it's always been in my mind.
Okay.
But I guess the background of it, kind of came to mind, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain. Okay. But I guess the question of it, finally came into my head.
Okay.
I think, music.
All right.
I mean, just everyone loves some type of song, right?
Sure.
You have your favorite song of this genre, whatever, yada, yada. But I have a song that, to me, when I hear that song, it puts me back to a time, and it just gives me those happy vibes.
Okay.
Before I tell you my song,
sure,
I want to know your song.
Okay, well, I first of all, I'll say that I have many songs that do that, right? I'm sure you do as well.
Sure, but like the one that gives you like, top tier happy vibes, puts you back into like, a good time when, you had no cares in the world and it was just you just vibing out.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, now I do.
Yeah.
It's Frank Ocean, Lost. That's the name of the song.
I've heard that one.
It's a good one. It's one that I found. It's usually a song that you find during that time. It's not one that you've known that you just played during a time. It's rather that one that you found during a time that was happy. This was when I was studying abroad in Italy. I just remember like walking down the streets of Italy, and I had just found the song. I was like, "Whoa, what song is this?" And I enjoyed the song. I enjoyed the atmosphere I was in. Mm-hmm. So the combination, just the synchronization of the two elements, is absolute bliss. Every time I hear this, hear the song. Now, before you say yours, I also have songs like, I was really getting into music in high school, and especially during bus rides to school and back to school. So when I listen to like Lil Wayne and YMCMB, I always remember like what I'd see while I was on the bus rides.
And my bus was a lot different. There was no way you could listen to music. My bus was wild.
Yeah, I know. We were chill, and I was really like a shy guy as well, so I didn't do much talking. But what's your bliss song? What's your happy song, man? And where does it put you?
All right, for some reason, the song, it just puts me back in the time where it's just, life was simpler.
Yeah.
All right. It's not even that long ago, I guess. I mean, thinking about it, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time. It's kind of that middle. Because we're both, mid 20s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, puts me back maybe like 17. So, I mean.
When you were 17? Almost.
I think so. But just, just a time when.
Okay.
Carefree.
Okay.
You don't really have a lot of responsibility yet, right?
Okay.
And I know you know the song. But.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Black Keys.
Yeah.
Tighten Up.
Oh, Black Keys.
Yeah, it's something about Tighten Up. It just, I guess when I first heard that song, it was just right place, right time. It just hit my brain and in that right.
Do you want to specify like where you were at or where it puts you now?
I wasn't even really like where.
Okay.
It's just I don't know what it is. Whenever I hear that song, it gets me in a good mood.
Okay.
It gets me in a good mood.
I like that, dude.
Yeah.
Those are legendary songs, and it's funny how music does that. Like there's even songs that remind me of certain people. Like if I show you a song and then you hear it down the line, it's like, oh, you know what? I'll say, show me that song, and maybe it reminds you of me. I have songs like that for like girls I liked, I had crushes on back in high school.
Sure.
Cousins or friends. Usually like whenever people introduce me to the song, I kind of make that connection.
Yeah.
No, music is powerful, man. Music's powerful. Art is powerful. It does that to your senses.
Remind me about music when we're done this episode.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you something about it.
Okay.
But,
okay.
It's not for public, so.
Oh, okay. After the episode.
Yeah, after the episode.
Okay, I thought I said during. Just a little bit of a plug. Last episode 13, I had a good friend, Diego. We talked about music and kind of the scene of it. So if you're interested with me or of me talking about music, go ahead and check that out. It's on YouTube, and it will be on, by the time you guys see this, it will be on Spotify and Apple Music.
It'll be everywhere.
It will be everywhere.
The usual places.
So, man,
yes.
As I was saying, dude, freaking this individual I had met recently, he's South Korean, and I had forgotten that in South Korea, I just know about the men. I'm not sure about the females or the women, but I know that the men are required to serve in the military. I don't know how many years. I would say maybe 2 or 3 minimum, as long as that they're eligible and they don't have any disabilities that may impede them from completing that service. They are required to join the military.
So there's actually a good amount of countries that require mandatory.
Do they? Who's another big one?
Oh man, there's
just one. I'm just trying to get a feel.
For sure, I know Germany does it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's both male and female, but I know for a fact males it's 2 years.
Okay, minimum.
It's 2 years.
Gotcha.
So I just pulled up a list.
Yes.
And I'm gonna roll down the list.
Okay.
Algeria, 1 year, males only. Angola, 2 years, males only. Argentina, it looks like it's in peril. It might not be anymore.
Okay.
Armenia, 2 years, males only. Austria, 6 to 9 months, males only. Looks like a lot of these are just males only.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan, Belarus, Belize, Benin, Bhutan, Bolivia, Brazil, Cambodia, Chad, Chile, China, Colombia, Congo. The list goes on. A lot of countries do it. What do you think about it?
So a lot of African countries there that you mentioned. I think you said Germany and Austria were the two
Vietnam,
German.
Uzbekistan, Uruguay.
Uruguay. Wow. So a lot of countries do it. Okay.
Yeah.
What do I think about it, man? So in what sense are you saying is that something that could be possible here in the United States if you could do it? Are you just saying in our own country would we enforce it? You know.
I'm just saying in general. I think in back to our country
Yeah.
thing, I would have it enforced 2 years. But what do you think about it, just in general?
It's a tough one because of this. And I refer to United States and why it just simply would not be possible here. First of all,
Oh, it wouldn't work in the U.S.
the divide between political ideologies are incredibly polar, so it'd just be impossible here. But also the infringement of religion, right? Because I'm sure a lot of religions would completely disown individuals if they join military, and the idea around military is always like harming people and guns and grenades and bombs and rockets and whatever. So that already be like a downfall for a country that's religious to enforce it. But I'm sure a lot of these countries you just mentioned are also highly religious. The ones in South America, I'm sure Christianity is quite popular there. So I'm surprised that they enforce it as well. Oh man, it's good. See, this is the thing about my view on military, right? I mentioned to you before the episode, I watch a lot of these like YouTube videos of like the boot camps, right? The Navy, the military boot camps.
Sure.
And they're hardcore. They're like, if you signed up, you'd expect that, right?
Exactly.
If I were forced into a military for 2 years, and I know that boot camp's only a couple of months, and you would get past that, but those 2 months really do feel like years for those people that are like suffering and like can't run or they just can't take people yelling at them. Like it's so demoralizing, man.
Sure.
Military in general, like, you feel like a puppet, right? So I'd say no, man. I would not enforce it. Now look, if we can like negotiate, like, hey, you know what? If I can't run 3 miles under 20 minutes, man, you're not gonna force me to somehow do it. Like you'll let me get past that. Like there'll be some like easy up on that individual because he's just kind of there. See, that's the thing. I'd be interested to see with the South Korean like processes. Do you treat everybody the same? Is a boot camp not that hardcore? Like all those things are variables that I consider. If it's like 2 years and you get good health insurance and some sort of, I don't know if
But I mean, I think the reason why South Korea does, or specifically South Korea, because North Korea is right there. There's always tension there. By the way, honorable mention: North Korea's mandatory minimum for males is 10 years, 5 years for females.
Gee, 5 years. Wow. Gee. Yeah, that North Korea's on some other level right now. That's crazy. 10 years. But then like, also if I lived in a country where like if I lived in South Korea and I know that there's like that pending doom of North Korea just snapping their fingers and going crazy, then maybe I would want to enforce all males to at least be in the military for some time in case some stuff like that happens, just so we have enough troops to defend our country. But I guess since I don't live in that atmosphere, in that environment, then it's easy for me to be like, nah, don't enforce that. But I know like Armenia as well, they had suffered through a Holocaust type event, I believe in the 20th century. So also, if there's like that country pride of you wanting to defend your country, then also that'd be a reason to do it.
I mean, South Korea has to do it because they have to maintain a good sized army.
Exactly.
I think that's anyone can infer that.
Yeah, exactly, and that makes sense.
So the reason why I'm for it,
yes,
this might be a little controversial, but it seems like people are kind of becoming weenies.
Soft.
They're getting soft.
Yep.
What I mean,
okay.
Just look at these TikToks and whatnot. I mean, I don't have a TikTok or anything, but just what I see with other people. I mean, it's looking real. What's the word? Fluffy out there.
I see what you're saying, but I'd argue that also from veterans, PTSD is highly probable for veterans to get some sort of PTSD, and then the mental health problems might be greater.
Sure, but I mean, you're not going to get PTSD just domestic rolling around, because not every country at any given time is in wartime. So I mean, it's only if you're in wartime.
Well, I don't know. I would disagree. Are we in the United States in wartime right now? I'd say we aren't.
No, so I mean,
I feel that there's still things, and everybody's like.
Well, I mean, we just got out of wartime with
Yeah.
all the other countries and wars in the Middle East and whatnot. I mean, that's kind of like an endless war, basically.
But then again, like everybody's like sensitive to different things, right? It might not even have to be like people blowing up and gunshots flying through your ear or right by your ear. It could be other things. I don't know, just the realization that you're in a different country and might be shot at any time could also begin PTSD.
I guess the two big reasons why I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
One, discipline.
Okay.
Instills discipline for the young adults at 18 that never was, I mean, for lack of a better term, it's not really coming to me, but they weren't broken in. They just have that like mindset that, they're the best and whatnot. And I guess they haven't realized the real world and how it really is. But just, plain outright discipline. And the second thing is physical health.
Mm.
I mean...
Okay, yeah. Abortion. Obesity is...
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd help, for sure. Now, back to this discipline thing. Do you think that... I'd argue that there's many ways that you can get that discipline.
Okay, in what way?
Police officers, firefighters.
I mean, okay, so you say police officer and firefighter. One, it's extremely hard to get in. Like, their acceptance rate is like 5%, if that. Two, not everyone is going into those fields. People don't want to be on the front lines. Three, the whole physical part about it. I mean, for the most part, on the entry part, there is a big physical barrier.
Yeah.
You either make the cut or you don't.
Yeah, and I think like it'd be the same thing for the military. I mean, say some dude's like 300 pounds, like is gonna push you, or but then it'd be like I don't even want to be here type of thing. So also, like I'd argue like would everybody that all your friends that are completely able to run and do push-ups and pull-ups, whatever, would you want them in the military? Like not everyone that I've met.
But you also got to remember that not every position in the military is front lines, boots on the ground.
No, that's true. But even then, like, I know some people. I don't want him behind a computer at all. Like, I don't want this guy answering any phone calls. Like,
Yeah.
So it's. I see what you mean, and like I said, it's one of those things. Also, like I feel like if we were like in a country like South Korea, living in a country like that, like our minds would just be completely different. I feel like here in the United States, we are soft because we haven't really been put through those obstacles or in those positions like, hey, you know what, there's pending doom right now. Kind of like the Red Scare back with Russia or Soviet Union.
So get this. The other... so I have two more big, pros, I guess you could call it. One, pride in your country.
Okay.
I think you would develop more pride in your country. What do you think about that?
The thing about pride in your country, whenever there's like the latest thing, like this whole abortion thing being Roe versus Wade being overturned. I'm sorry. For people that may be pro abortion, when things like that happen, like your pride for your country, your patriotism may not be so high. Like, this country doesn't even want to protect my body. Why should I go serve in its military and potentially risk my life for my country overseas? So I feel like there's also like a level of understanding between the citizen and the central government that'd be like, okay, you know what, have these rights, but in turn you have to serve military. Like, I feel like there's here in the United States, at least, I don't know South Korea and Albania and stuff like that, what their politics are and citizen relationship to government, but there'd have to be like some sort of clear understanding of like, hey, you know what, there's free healthcare, or there's minimum wage is $15.
Okay. Yeah.
So like I feel like there's got to be a trade-off there, like for a lot of people they'd argue like this country's not doing enough for me to be going to military forcefully. Or
so that brings me actually to the second pro that I wanted to bring up. It gives you a job. Think about the people who are in prayer, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
boom, you're forced into this career field because at the end of the day, it is a career. I mean, many people make, long 20, 30 years careers out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, you do your minimum 2 years and, they offer you, so do you want to get out or do you want to stay in?
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you an easy way to make a career out of it. I mean,
You're right.
think of the people who are lost in the sense of who may easily become homeless.
Yeah.
Maybe like lower income families. It throws them into a career right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I mean a good career, a good noble career.
Yeah.
Decent salary, a free place to stay, free healthcare. Well, at least in the U.S. I don't know how it is in other countries.
Right.
But I mean,
excuse me. It is a free job, but it's also that thing like your morals might not be aligned with that of the military. It might not be a job that you want to be doing, and like the motivation factor might be a thing too. Like everybody that's in the military now, for the most part, I'd argue want to be there, right? Like I'd feel no one's necessarily forced to be there unless there's like I want to be a doctor, so the only way for me to pay for medical school. Medical school is for me to join the military. I feel like the percentage of people that are in the military right now for that reason is quite low. So I'd also feel like if that were the case where it would be mandatory, the absolute military morale would be super, super low. And I think that's a big
I don't think so. I think...
because, for you to enjoy your job, you'd have to want to be there, right?
Sure.
So for someone that's, I don't know, man, it could be religious reasons, like my morals don't align with that of the military. Because of that, I'm not enjoying holding these guns or yelling at these people or being yelled at. I don't know, it could be a number of things, right? I just feel like there'll be a lot of contradictions, and because of that, it's maybe hard for you to see right now, just because, like I said, everybody that's in the military right now, for the most part, 98% want to be there. So they wake up with smile on their face. They do what they have to do with whatever position they're in with a smile on their face, and they enjoy it. And they can stay there for as long as they want, or if after 4 years, which I believe is the minimum here in the United States, they can head out. All because they want to. But if you start forcing people to do it, you're not going to get the same result from the military. And maybe that's a reason why United States military is so ranked high above other countries, because I feel like maybe that could be a reason, because everybody that's in there wants to be there. That's got to be something you got to consider.
I don't know. So for a lot of people that go in the military, a lot of people, that's their last resort.
That's true.
Everything else failed, so they jumped into it, and for the most part,
would you say a small percentage, medium?
I would say a good amount. I would say a good amount for the people.
40?
It's either the last resort, or it's for people who don't want to go to college, and military is probably the best job, the next available job without college.
I've known a couple that are last resort, and others like I said, to pay for nursing school, pay for law school. That's their key to do that. But just imagine the amount of people that it'd be just a waste of time, perhaps. Like, what if you have your end goals in careers want to be like accountant, like you want to do that so damn bad, but you got to wait 2-3 years before.
I'm sure there's an accountant job in the military.
Okay, bad example, I guess, but like I don't know, soccer coach. I don't know, like something like that, right? Like something that has nothing to do with the military. But there are a lot of jobs in the military. That's true. Like cooks. You want to do.
There are tons of jobs.
Architecture, I'm sure. Engineering, of course.
Tops and blues. If you want to be in a band.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, but also I feel like there's a lot of other jobs that have nothing to do with that, and like, I can't think of any careers right now. Maybe like a sports coach or stuff like that. I don't know. You'd be like, this is just a waste of time. Or what if you're rich? What if you're like filthy rich and you're like.
If you're filthy rich, then it puts you back on an even plane with everyone else. Humbles you.
Yeah, but some people, you can imagine like the amount of like, oh, this guy, his dad's Bill Gates or whatever. Like this guy, freaking sleeps until, even after the trumpets are, wailing at 4 a.m., like just kicking me out. Like if I was like a millionaire or well off, I should say, like well off, like, man, kick me out, bro. And I might be like frowned upon, and I can't get a job now. That, but if I'm already set,
you're gonna be screwing over your everyone else in the barracks. I'm sure they're all going to be paying for it.
Oh, and I could care less. I mean, if I was in that position, of course. But I could.
Well, you're going to be paying for it too.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're going to be getting punished too if you're the one sleeping in.
I mean, in the United States, you can't. The instructors can't like touch the recruits, right? They can't physically.
I mean, you're still going to get disciplined.
But do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, I see what you're saying.
To a certain extent, if you want to run 3 miles in 10 minutes, I'm gonna walk. You kick me out. I want you to kick me out.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So like at a certain point, you can't do much against people like that. You know, like you'd hope to get kicked out, or what is it called?
You'd hope to get fired.
Yeah, fired is a job. Yeah. Was it dishonorable?
Dishonorable discharge.
Discharge. Yeah.
But that follows you.
Exactly.
I mean,
but
sure, you're a millionaire.
Exactly. So and here in the United States, we have a lot of rich people. So I'm sure. I want to say it's a big percentage.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, more than other countries, but at the same time.
Yeah. We don't have like 50%, like, you know, rich people. But
I mean, right now we're going to be going through a recession. There's going to be a lot more poor people than rich.
Well, in the recession, usually the spectrum moves with the wave. So, you know, the rich are still going to be richer compared to.
They're still going to be rich, but it moves the middle class into lower middle class and lower middle class into borderline poverty.
Exactly. So it kind of shifts everybody, except for that 1%. 1% set.
Yeah, they're going to.
The 99 to 1% shifts altogether. But look, I agree, man. Yeah, look, honestly, like for the United States, I wouldn't want. It feels weird. Like I don't think. Maybe I guess I can't think in that sense of if I was in South Korea, like yeah, you know, the northern country. I don't know, 100 miles north are going crazy. You know, at any second they can just start going, you know, World War III on us or whatever. In that sense, I was like, yeah, you know what? We should, at the very least, have like, you know, out of 100% males of the age of 18, we should at least try to get, you know, 60 to 7% of them in the military for at least 2 years, right? But the fact that we live in the United States and things are way different and our military is already massive. I'd be like, no, it's not necessary. Now, I guess you can come back to the draft. You know, I don't think it's a thing anymore, but back in World War II, the draft was a thing.
Yeah.
And I think the draft...
Or Vietnam War.
Oh, you're right. Was it World War II as well?
I don't know about World War II. Okay. I mean, maybe World War II, but I know Vietnam War for sure.
Yeah, so in that case... But then the thing is, like, you know, Muhammad Ali, right, and Cassius Clay, Cassius Clay, his thing was like the religious, right? Same person. The religion, right? He was a Muslim, right. So it didn't align with his morals, and he was a black individual in, what was it, the 70s? So he's also saying like, hey, this country's not backing me up. Why should I back it up? And it comes with that push and tug.
So that brings me actually to what I was going to say next. Okay. I mean, granted, I would assume. From where we live, for the most part, racism is toned down to where it's. I mean, I would assume from my viewpoint, is racism is definitely not what it used to be. Would you agree?
Back to like 100 years ago.
Back to even just 40 years ago.
Okay, yeah, it's not what it used to be. Not what it used to be 40 years ago. Correct.
I mean, even back in Vietnam War, right? It's not what it used to be.
Right.
But look what it did. In the Vietnam War, whenever there was a draft, okay. I mean, there was no discrimination when it comes to being drafted.
Right.
And look what it did. It brought camaraderie.
Right.
You know, it brought more. Basically, you know, lifetime friends, lifetime friendship, lifetime relationships. It didn't matter who you were.
The problem I see there is because that draft for any race or ethnicity was out of desperation, not out of purpose or intent. To have more camaraderie,
right? But that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, it was ultimately
it brought people together.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it was that much of like a success story. From that, there was. I'm sure. I guess more of an understanding of like, hey, you know,
more
these people
more acceptance,
but not a massive understanding. I don't think that. I don't know if that was a big step forward. I guess because, you know, I do know that, you know, black people were wanting to join the military because, you know, obviously it's a, you know, whites only type of job prior to, you know, the drafts and stuff like that. So, you know, they know that they're well off. You know, these veterans are getting, you know, health insurance and stuff like that. It might have not been available to colored people or other ethnicities. But, I mean, even Hispanics, I'm sure, also were like, hey, you know what? You know, instead of working over here in California in a farm, I'd much rather join the military. And, you know, maybe earn my citizenship too. I'm sure there was a big
I mean,
influx.
and yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm saying. For farm workers or whatever, it broadens your career because there's damn near any job in the military.
Yeah.
It can bring someone from nothing into something.
Okay, but those are also different times. So I'm saying now, anyone can join the military. That's of course able, of course. So I mean the option is there for everybody now, which is awesome.
Right.
But it should stay as an option. It should stay as an option.
It should stay as an option.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Because I mean, there's a lot of good stuff happening for the country outside of the military too. Economy and stuff like that. That doesn't just depend on how well the military is doing. It depends on are people working. Is the middle class trying to push forward into the upper class. All these things build the economy and push it forward. Not just having a bunch of people in the military.
I'm for it, so
yeah.
I think it's just one of those things that we're just, we might just have to agree to disagree because I mean, I think all the pros outweigh the cons in this one.
Well, look, man, I really do think that it depends on the country that we were living in, man. Like I said, if we were in South Korea or some country that's on the verge of war,
this is even one more thing that I think, is better for it. I mean, although it's somewhat minor, and I'm sure you could argue that a lot of people still don't care.
Yeah.
But I think it promotes the idea of it. The idea of, because a lot of what the president believes in trickles down into the military of whether they should downsize or upsize or what the budget for the military increases or decreases.
Okay.
It puts more people who are in the military more aware of politics. And I'm not saying people should be aware of politics, but I mean, I think people should be aware of where the government is going or what the current administration believes in or is against or yada, yada, yada. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of goes along the lines of, in a previous episode, whenever I said voting age should be 25.
Yeah.
In the sense, because I think a lot of people under 25, they're allowed to vote, but do they really know who or what they're voting for? I mean, they hear a name, they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, that guy's name sounds cool, I'll vote for him. In the sense of, you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
I saw this video on YouTube of this veteran describing his time in the Vietnam War. It has like millions of views too, and it was like a storyteller from Vietnam, tells his service while he was over there. And honestly, I recommend that video highly to anybody that's kind of interested in kind of what's going on as far as politics goes. In this video, this individual says something along the lines of, while I was there, like he was going up in the ranks, I don't know, what is it, lieutenant and stuff like that, right? He goes up in the ranks.
Lieutenant, damn.
And
up there.
Oh, maybe not that high, but something along those lines. To the point where he was like, yes, I am this, position. I do have this label in front of my name, but I honestly have no idea what's going on in Vietnam.
Oh, you know what? I actually think so. I don't know if it's the same one, but there was actually a song about that.
Oh, okay.
There was a song about an actual person.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Vietnam. I'm pretty sure it was Vietnam.
I mean, that's the thing. It tends to be a trend over several wars. Like, not just Vietnam. It could be the world wars as well, or Afghanistan. Like, you really don't know what's going on behind the curtains or the hierarchy of power. Like, are you guys there to actually find somebody, or are you just maybe this guy just knows something about the United States that or that country that they're not supposed to know. So you're just killing a rat, or you're killing a real enemy that's a threat to your country.
Right, and I think that's the whole thing about. There was like a movement years ago, decades ago, about the we don't support the war, but we support the soldiers.
Exactly. So I feel like there's also maybe it does make you more politically aware, but not necessarily as far as like who to vote for, but rather like it makes you thinking like, okay, what's actually going on behind closed doors? Like, is this, are we fighting for oil? Are we fighting for independence? Are we fighting for someone else's independence? Is our country at stake? Are we just making people rich? And I think that's what I'd argue the biggest problem against the American military, as far as people being recruited or not, is that behind the closed doors, you'll maybe with something we have not even one of those 5 options I just guessed. Like it could be something even way deeper, scarier, or it might just be like, hey, honestly they're planning to attack us next month, so let's just prevent that from happening. Or it could be like, hey, they have a lot of oil that they just found. It would make us billions and billions of dollars to pay our debt. Let's go ahead and take advantage of the situation. And that's the scary thing about the military and government really as a whole. So yeah, you're right. It make you a little bit more, I guess, maybe socially, politically aware, but not always in the good sense. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying. So slightly off topic.
Yeah.
In the sense of mandatory military, a lot of countries, well, some countries, their reason is to maintain, a certain minimum because they don't want to fall below minimum.
Sure.
So that goes along the lines of the next point I want to make, albeit it might be lower on the list, but it might have more higher importance for a country's sake.
Okay.
But if you were going to go to war with another country,
yeah,
what would you look at? What's one of the things that you would look at?
Okay, rephrase it. The question.
Let's say let's say your country was Upamanganga, all right, and my country was Pipey.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You want to invade me. What is one thing that you want to know about my country's military?
Okay, so you obviously have an answer for this.
Yeah, what do you think is a major factor?
I mean, obviously technology and how advanced it is compared to ours, at least.
Technology's good, okay. Anything else you'd want to know?
Atomic bombs or nukes, okay. Atom bombs, hydrogen bombs.
I mean, that goes along with technology.
I mean, you obviously have an answer that I haven't thought of yet. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be one of the bigger things.
It is. So,
are you guys, or are you going to be able to beat me with something I have no idea how to control or prevent?
Well, I mean, it's pretty basic. I mean, we mentioned it many times, but I would assume, or what I would think is, I think one of the biggest deterrents outside of technology is just sheer numbers.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, so I think one of the biggest deterrents to attack a country would be just sheer numbers.
Okay, yes and no. Yes, maybe like 50 years ago.
Okay.
Now we're in a warfare of cyber warfare.
Sure.
Of hacking.
Mm-hmm.
What's good? A hydrogen bomb missile launcher, if I can hack into it and just implode it at your base, like, like imagine like a country full of hackers and then a country full of soldiers. Who would be able to make the most damage? I don't know, right? But that'd be something to think about.
So what would you think? All right, so let me put it this way. I mean, just to counter that argument,
mm-hmm.
If both countries were equal in technology,
okay.
All right, let's just say both countries are equal in technology.
And yeah, for sure.
You have your army of hackers, I have my army of hackers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna cancel each other out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, people for sure. I mean, there's nothing really else that politicians. No, I don't care about that. Famous people, I don't care about that. I mean, what else? Infrastructure, I don't care about that.
I think infrastructure would be pretty important. I mean, that was the whole reason why.
I mean, how so?
I mean, infrastructure was one of the whole reason why the interstate system in the U.S. was made, was because I think it was President Eisenhower. He said I mean, don't quote me on this, but
yeah.
I believe his whole reasoning to build the interstate highway system was for if there was ever a war to happen on U.S. soil, that the military could easily mobilize.
Okay, but I don't think it's necessarily a deterrent, but rather like a...
I mean, yeah, not a deterrent, but I mean, it's...
One thing that could be... It could be... Oh, no. Don't leave that thought. I think the thought's leaving. Oh, so yeah, numbers is one thing, you're right. But back to Vietnam, I think Vietnam it was definitely a loss for the United States, but it's good to see why or how it was a loss. I don't know what the numbers were as far as how many troops were sent to Vietnam and how many troops Vietnam had or the Viet Cong had, but also the layout of the environment is very, very important.
For sure.
So because I'd argue maybe the United States had more troops available.
Actually, I just don't think so. I mean, I think back then.
Okay, yeah, back then, yeah.
Yeah, back then for sure, but I think nowadays.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. But the way that maybe it doesn't matter now because you just bomb everything and it doesn't matter where they're hiding. It wouldn't, right? But back then, that guerrilla warfare is what they call it, and how well your land and was it the mines or the claymores that they put on the ground and stuff like that, and how you're able to maneuver through your terrain is also highly important now. Then like now again now but now of course maybe that doesn't matter anymore because of the technology that we have now, like sonar and radar and
GPS, just satellite imaging,
and was it the night vision stuff like that. If you're hiding under a tree or behind a tree, you'll see the red heat
thermal imaging, infrared signature.
So maybe that doesn't matter anymore. But back then, maybe numbers wasn't the biggest thing, but rather how well you know your environment, your terrain. But yeah, I don't know, man. That'd be a good thought. Like, who would be more effective? A country that's focused on cyber warfare versus a country that's focused on boots on the ground warfare.
I mean, I think without a doubt. I mean, I think let's just say countries are evenly matched.
Yeah.
I mean, technology wise, U.S., China. I think that's basically evenly matched.
Sure.
Basically, most European countries. For the most part, most Asian countries, they're kind of all on the same technology level.
Yeah.
When it comes to being even on on that front, it comes down to tactics and training, and then just sheer manpower.
Yeah, I suppose,
that's
man.
just my
I
inference.
suppose because like in back I was just in San Diego and I went to the Midway Museum, and the whole thing that I don't know if you know the Midway story or how that battle played out. It all came down to the United States being able to intercept Japanese messaging. I don't know if it was what was it? It wasn't like Morse code. It was something else, I believe.
I believe Germany gave Japan. I mean, don't quote me on it, but I believe Germany gave Japan their like encoding system.
Yeah, maybe.
And it turns out that it was cracked, like a long time ago. So they already basically had it cracked.
Well, no, the United States figured it out almost like on the spot. There's a movie about it, and it's quite accurate. It's quite accurate.
Nice.
But yeah, they were able to figure it out and crack it through just test and
just trial and error.
Trial and error. But it also technology was already a big thing during World War II. So maybe it's just a couple of hackers in a room trying to figure out some stuff, doing already more for the war or for that country than having 30,000 troops ready to be deployed. So I don't know. I think now we're on the technology side rather than the manpower side. But of course, the manpower does deter, sure. I just don't know how effective it is to, technology and being able to intercept coding and stuff like that and hacking. I mean, hacking is a new word as far as like warfare goes. I don't think it's really been tested yet. I hope it never does, but I don't think it's been tested yet because as far as like the most recent wars, just kind of like Middle Eastern wars, I'd say, and I don't know as far as that goes and how competent they are compared to the United States in technological cyber warfare. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see like in a hypothetical sense, right? Not in the real world sense. But what do you think, man? What do you think? Because you're arguing for people. You're arguing for arms and legs and boots. I'm saying I don't know, dude. Now today,
I just think the pros outweigh the cons. I just do. And just the sense of, I mean, like I said before, unity, physical fitness, pride in your country.
Well, I'm past the whole mandatory military. I'm talking about a country, a war in today's day.
All right.
What's more important?
What do you mean?
Having the manpower, or having? In your senses, your examples, you've canceled those things out. You just say the technology is even down.
Okay, yeah, technology is even.
Let's say it's all about manpower. Who has more? Yeah, of course, the person with or the country with more manpower obviously has the upper hand. But all things considered, a country that's more advanced technology. I'm not talking like nukes and like better jets or fighter pilots or whatever. I'm talking like being able to hack and stuff like that. Being able to tap into what's your next move or where you guys your submarines, where are they at? And stuff
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's your question?
You think cyber is more powerful now, or manpower?
Oh, cyber, got it out.
Yeah. Has that been tested yet? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't really think so, but I mean, I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's been recent things about, China hacking U.S. and Russia hacking U.S. and whatnot. I mean, the whole thing years ago about the claims. I think it was proven. Don't quote me on it. Not trying to get political, but the whole thing about Russia hacking the U.S. Presidential election. And I don't want to go too deep into that because I don't know too much about it. That's just what I hear through NPR and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, cyber warfare is very, very powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. It's crazy. It's crazy, and then even able to like mobilize fighter jets without humans in there, and just control this from like a room back at home. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
I think there's actually a movie called
Top Gun.
Not Top Gun. I think it's called War Games.
Okay.
Let me just make sure real quick. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's an old movie. Yeah. This is the one, War Games. So War Games was about it's about a kid who was really, really into computers. Super smart.
Yeah.
Basically, from his house, he like hacked the military or something.
That's crazy.
And I mean, granted, this is just a movie.
Sure.
But it's just one of the things that just exposes the whole cyber warfare thing.
Right.
Hacks the military, and I'll probably spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Pretty decent movie. But anyways, he hacks the military. I don't know if it's the U.S. military or if it's another country's military. Yeah. And hacks their nuke system and launches all the nukes.
Wow.
But they didn't know if it was for real or not. They didn't know if it was just the computer running like the simulation of it or if it was the actual nukes. And they were basically watching the nukes, flying on the map or whatever.
Right.
And they were just bracing for impact, basically just watching it. And they're like, oh, well, spoiler alert. They all went off, but it was all computer simulation. Turns out the nukes were never actually launched, but he was in, like the Army's mainframe or whatever you want to call it.
I see.
But yeah.
And that's just one person doing,
potentially
can do all that damage.
It's
right?
a kid, but
it's hypothetical. It's a movie, but I mean, also, I'm not doubting that there's hackers out there that could do that. But if you're a hacker with that potential, then you're probably already in the military. Like you've already been recruited.
That's debatable.
But then that comes down to also the future of the military and unarmed or unmanned fighter pilots. We might even get to a point where like the military being recruited into military might actually be stricter than ever, just because they don't need that many people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Like for a country in your country that you'd want mandatory military, if you get to a point where like all these fighter pilots, jets, I don't know what they call blackbirds or whatever, like I can man all these unmanned fighter pilots through a controller, through a database, through a almost like a video game.
So you mean like drones?
Like a simulator type of thing, just drones.
Okay.
They're able to drop nukes. They're able to fire napalm. That's not a thing anymore. But M16s or whatever. Like we're gonna get. I don't doubt it, dude. I mean, I don't know how far it is. It is probably still far away, but that's gonna be eventually a thing.
It's a possibility.
And for countries like yours, where you don't or where you do mandatory need to have some sort of military service, that's gonna be obsolete. That's not gonna be a thing anymore. So, oh man, the future's crazy. The future's crazy. Because when you think about that, like, you're gonna have so many more like software engineers and cyber security careers over maybe even engineering. No, engineering's still a thing. But that's crazy, man.
Wow. All right, man. I think we've killed this topic, yeah?
That's scary.
All right, man. So the one that I wanted to bring up is, it's a controversial topic.
Okay.
Then again, that's what we bring up a lot, controversial topics. And by the way, at the very least, the U.S. is going, just depending on the administration, the way on the world is going, euthanasia. Okay. Basically assisted suicide.
Okay.
In this, doctor-assisted suicide. Basically, people who are depressed enough or whatever, they could go to a doctor and say, hey, I want to die, and they go through some, hoops and bounds, hoops and leaps, and basically they get lethal injection.
Mm.
What do you think about it?
Okay, what are those hoops and bounds? I think that's kind of very important because like, could it be like maybe how serious medically is your depression, anxiety? Is that euthanasia already paid for? Man, that's interesting. That's interesting because what are those hoops and bounds really? Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I was looking it up. I thought the last country to do it was Denmark, but actually Denmark has had it since 1992.
Has what?
As they've had it allowed since 1992.
Okay, it's about 20, 30
Basically,
years.
I mean, this is just Denmark's, but it says Denmark has allowed people to file written refusal of excessive treatments in dire situation, which I don't understand what that means. If you do, you're smarter than me.
Dire situation, like crucial, like life or death situations. But what is that? What?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't. That doesn't really. I think that's allowed in the U.S. technically because it says if the patient is unconscious, which
Okay,
it's
like
basically
in a coma.
someone's in a coma. But
Yeah.
try to find. I thought they were the last country to do it. I know there was a European country who within the last 5 years they just allowed it. Either Belgium or Luxembourg. Let me try to find this out. But anyways, what do you think about it?
It's interesting because look, you know how those things how like if you have strict parents, let's say you can't drive after 9 p.m.
Sure.
You're gonna have that like curiosity for your whole life. I want to drive so bad after 9, right? And then once you do it, it's whatever. Do you think that maybe having it legalized, voluntary euthanasia, like not having, I don't know how strict I'd say, but let's say it being accessible for anyone, do you think suicide rates might go down?
I think suicide rates would go up.
I'm sorry, suicide, not like euthanasia.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Oh, you mean actual suicide?
Yeah, like
yeah. Then I
home type of
think
thing.
then yeah, I think they would go down.
But not because people just start doing it, at the doctor's office or at the hospital, but rather just because it's so accessible and so maybe accepted socially. It might be like, if I wanted to do it, I could, but I actually kind of don't. Like, I'm gonna find a reason not to. But right now, it's kind of like suicide's almost like that, like forbidden fruit type of thing,
Okay. Yeah.
Like the fact that it's so frowned upon and the fact that it's so unknown. I kind of there's that little tickle that I want to it's gonna push me over, it's gonna get me on that side. But if we maybe normalize it, but see, it's like it's counterproductive, but in a way it's for the better good, as far as like, yeah, you know what, like if you want suicide, if you want euthanasia, it's out there for you. So it's not like you have to go, I don't know, do some leap over walls for it, but it's there if you want it. I mean, go ahead, type of thing.
So,
but do you really want that?
This is Belgium's
Okay.
Law on it. Belgium's law is patient has to be an adult.
Okay, that's fine. I like that.
Has to be conscious and legally competent of making the request.
Yeah.
Must be in a condition of constant and unbearable physical or psychological suffering resulting from a serious and incurable disorder caused by some illness or accident.
Okay.
So
that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I think
that's it. At that point, you could. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not trying to make light of the situation.
Right.
But I mean, I could just see depressed people just flocking to this.
But what was that last bullet point or last thing again?
Suffering resulting from serious and incurable disorder caused by illness or accident.
So keyword there was serious.
Yes.
So some sort of medically cleared seriousness.
I mean, people could argue. I mean, it is an actual diagnosis for major depression.
Exactly. So it being major, I don't know what major depression is actually, right? So I don't know what constitutes it. But that might just be it. Like that's fine,
That's fine.
I mean, if because that person's competent enough to want it for him or herself or itself, right? Their self.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at that point, like, who are you to be like, no, I don't know. I think it being available to anyone that's competent enough to request it or want it, that's up to them. I mean, who are you to be like, no, you can't kill yourself. You have to, wake up tomorrow and go back to work or continue living in your hell.
I mean, it's not against the law to kill yourself. Let's put it that way.
Oh, well, I mean, you're dead. I mean,
you're dead. I mean, there's no punishment, right?
But then it's, you're right. But is there a pro in doing it at a hospital?
I would think so. I mean, it's all right.
It's cleaner, I guess, but it's way more expensive too. Surely it's expensive. So that might be the deterrent itself. But so I mean, already maybe even having it legally available at hospitals might not even be the biggest change in the world just because of how expensive it is.
I would see it as something that should be an option.
Okay.
So hear me out.
Sure.
I'm not trying to sound prejudiced against one sex versus another.
Okay.
Suicide rate in males very high in the sense of attempts versus actually completed.
Okay.
Females, it's quite low in the sense of attempts versus actually completed, because males, they just do, they don't really think, they're just like, I'm gonna kill myself, boom, done.
Yeah.
Because males also, it's more, they have a higher tendency to own firearms, so they're just females, they don't tend to own firearms. Females' choice of suicide is usually poisoning or hanging.
Okay.
More often than not, poisoning. I would assume it's harder to poison yourself. I would assume poisoning is a slower, more painful death.
Perhaps.
But think of it this way: I'm not trying to sound cynical in any way.
Yeah.
But it would also alleviate some of the hospital system in the sense of people who are depressed or mentally ill or have that serious psychological illness. They go to an ER.
Yeah.
When they go to an ER, I mean, very little is done for them, but they take up a room in the ER.
Right.
For minimum days, days, sometimes weeks, because there are very, very, very few mental hospitals.
Okay.
So they're basically locked down in an ER room for days, if not weeks, on emergency detention. Can't leave. You're stuck eating crappy hospital food.
Yeah.
And it basically takes up resources in an ER.
Okay.
And they go to that mental hospital, and I don't know what happens there, but a lot of people just get released just a few days later.
Okay.
Just for the cycle to just, cycle over again. So, I mean, I think there's very, very little very, very little that has been done with those serious illnesses. So, I mean, I'm not saying, euthanasia as an option is the best way, but it being an option, I see it as a way to alleviate some pressure on the system already.
Okay. That was a big point. Yeah, I mean, of course, you're right. Yeah, instead of, maybe there's a car accident, a bunch of car accidents one night, but, we're already stuck with, like 30 patients, that are, what'd you say, medically detention or medical detention?
Emergency detention.
Emergency detention. So how is that constituted?
So emergency detention, it's, oh man, I just went over this too. Basically, you have reason to believe that the person is a harm to themselves or to others. They have some kind of mental illness. It doesn't have to be exactly known what mental illness. It just has to be, someone has to have a reasonable belief that they have a mental illness, harm to themselves or harm to others, or someone is mentally decompensating in the sense of they're, like, quote, losing their mind, end quote.
I see. And is that like a big percentage of hospitals are like currently have a lot of those people?
Oh, it happens every day. It happens like, between 1 and 3 people every day.
Really?
Yeah. Well, in a big city at least.
Yeah. So you're saying those people, if they so wish to be euthanized, that they should? Because it would free up those rooms.
If they're in that, right mindset to where they're, they're not drunk, but, they're sound of mind.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're having someone in there for a couple of weeks and all they want is just to, kill themselves with a competent, decision making, then 2 weeks of someone being in there where it could be like freed up for people, like I said, accidents or shootings or accident or whatever. Yeah, I mean that alleviated a lot, especially during the COVID thing. I mean that all hospitals being full and stuff like that. That's scary. That's scary for people that actually really need what's it called, the breathing thing.
The breathing thing, what?
The tube.
Oh yeah, being intubated.
Intubated, yeah. So like that, I'm sure a lot of people passed away like that because they didn't have access to that when they actually needed it. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I agree, dude. I mean, the key word here is being competent enough, right? Like if you have mental health where you can't think straight, or you're paranoid or something like that. Like, no, I hear voices, I gotta kill myself. That's not
the reason. I want it to be an option, just because I believe there should be options.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like I just feel like people would see it as the easy way out.
But the thing, like, it's like the same thing with guns, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to commit a crime, you'll find a way to commit a crime.
You'll find a way, yeah.
If you want to kill yourself, you'll find a way to kill yourself, whether it's legally or not. You're gonna be dead.
You're gonna be
illegal. You're not gonna take me to jail when I'm dead. Mm-hmm. So it's like at that point, is that doing any good, or is that
okay? So hear me out.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine. I mean, I feel like,
what if they made a law?
Okay.
All right, that if you kill yourself, that your family gets punished.
Okay, so first of all, that's
you attempt suicide, and you actually complete suicide. Your family gets punished.
I'd say that's a dumb law because
I mean, yes, it would be dumb, highly controversial law.
Well, yeah,
but there would be a deterrent.
Let's say you're my brother, right?
Yeah.
And I kill myself.
Wait, so we're not brothers?
Hey, spoiler alert. Next episode, look at our birth certificates. Imagine I kill myself, right? So then, like, hey, you know what, Sean? Let's say we have no parents, right? We're orphans or whatever. Hey, Sean, you're the only blood relative to Asel. $20,000. I don't know what 5 months in prison. I don't know what the penalty would be. Whatever. All you would have to really say is like, I haven't seen that guy in years. Like, I actually.
But he's your family.
So no matter what, like, let's say.
Yeah, you're your family. Everyone in the family gets punished.
Okay, then that's
mother, father.
It'd be easy for someone to be like, I haven't seen that guy in years. Like, I actually hate him, or he slept with my wife, or he would beat me, or he beat my, or no, you could say some craziest thing, and why should you pay for that at that
$5,000 fine, 1 year prison?
It's like I hate the dude. Why would I even now? Of course, you're thinking of a loving family. They're all together, yada yada. But in the real life, in the real world, like families aren't like textbook. They're not fairy tale like that. So a lot of times it might just like what, that dude was in. I live in Spain now. Like I have no connection to that dude anymore. Why should or whatever? It doesn't matter. You guys could be in the same room or like I hate the dude. So in that sense, it's just it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean that'd be a deterrent. Sure, if that was in a real world, maybe like North Korea, that's probably a thing. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if North Korea had something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. But that would be a deterrent for sure. But it just wouldn't make sense in the real world.
Right. I mean, I was just spitting.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What do you think about that argument? I mean.
I mean, I don't even think there really needs to be any solid argument. You could just, honestly, that's just one of those things you say, man, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, you're
I
right.
wanted to be nice. Right. I wanted to give you like an actual like reason in the real world, like what would actually happen. But yeah, it is pretty dumb.
So, would you say you're for it or against it? I'm still.
No, yeah, I'm for it. If
okay,
competent, like that's my key word, right? You got to be competent. Like I said, if you want to commit a crime, you'll find a way to commit a crime. If you want to kill yourself, you're gonna find a way to kill yourself. Another deterrent would also be the price, because like I think of the death row or the was it the death penalty?
Mm-hmm.
It's super expensive.
Oh, dude, it's 6 figures.
Yeah. So what is it? I don't know what they use right now, but I know the shot, the injection, lethal injection. I don't know if they do electric chair anymore.
You can request it.
Okay, and I don't know what other ones they have. So all that is super expensive. So if it's like anything near that, I don't know what is euthanasia. So is that not lethal injection?
It's supposed to be lethal injection, yeah.
So same price. Or is it?
I mean, I would assume so. So do you think, is that one of those, what do you think the price should be? Like, let's say I want to be euthanized.
So why is it 6 figures for an inmate that's not going to pay for it? The government's paying for it. So why is it 6 figures? Is it the company producing that dosage?
It's paying for the doctor, paying for the nurse, and whatever chemicals that they use, which I don't understand how the chemicals could be that expensive. I really don't.
It could be the company, like the medical pharmacy
Oh,
company,
yeah,
the drug
yeah.
company, be like, hey, you know what? You guys actually want this? I mean, there's so many ways to do it. I mean, what is it? The whole the poisoning. What is that? The powder, you know, like in movies they put it in drinks and stuff like that. And
Oh, cyanide?
cyanide, exactly. Why not just do something like that?
That's
I don't know.
painful.
Oh, is it like
Yeah,
burns your
it's
throat or
painful.
whatever?
I forgot how it is, but I think cyanide starves your cells of oxygen.
Oh wow.
So
So I guess the lethal injection is the least painful way to kill yourself.
yeah, because I believe one's supposed to put you to sleep, and the next one is supposed to like numb your body, and the next one is supposed to stop your heart.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, I was saying that justifies six figures, but that justifies a couple $1,000s minimum, or tens of thousands of dollars.
So what do you think the price should be if I want to be euthanized?
Oh man,
And I
so
come with a briefcase for like 10K. Here you go.
oh man, that's a good question because
Or should they just come with a firing squad and just...
a good price would be, of course, it's just hard because like
You know, why not have it? Okay, hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Maybe have euthanasia as an option, right?
Okay.
But the only way the government will allow you to do it is by firing squad. So you're staring down. So you're staring it down. You're like, yo, this is actually scary. I don't want to do this anymore.
It could deter some people.
All right.
But then again, it could deter them to just go home and do it themselves. Because look, I'm sure that when people are already made their mind up as far as like suicide, like I feel like, I mean, I hope they change their mind, of course. But for someone that's like, you know what, no, there's no reason. I think you see the freaking 17 AKs or M16s or M9s looking down the barrel of the guns, like, nah, I'm just gonna go home, bro, and just finish it up,
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like
it doesn't fix anything.
it doesn't
fix
exactly.
anything.
But the price of euthanasia, I don't know, man. Because I was gonna say, like, let's say, because it's got to be cheap enough for people to afford it that really wants it, but it's got to be pricey enough to where the hospital's being compensated or the medical professionals
worth their time. Quote.
So we got this pull and tug right here. I'm thinking like $4,000.
That's not anything, dude.
But that's not
the
anything.
average price of an ER visit's like $3,000.
So it's anything more than like $5. It's like I'm just doing it at home, So at that point, is it just
I don't think you would say that because it's like, oh, I'm gonna die anyways. So I mean, I'll sign over my house to you.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But that'd be like less money for the families, the kids that they might be leaving. So like, there's so many factors here to consider. Honestly, man.
What do you think? 10K?
Well, see, at 10K, it's like I gotta go sell my car for it, or sell my house for it.
I think 10K is one of those things that, in the U.S. at least, people have 10K in the sense of at least value. At least value.
Okay, a vehicle, surely, or I don't know.
Vehicle, house, land, money, belongings, laptop, yada yada yada.
And then that'd be all. Let's say I just sold my house for it. Then now the bank's got the house, and now my kids are homeless. So that. So it's like it wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a good price socially for social prosperity or economy. But obviously, if you don't care about your life, then you could care less about the house, right? I don't know. Those are good questions, man. I don't know. I have no idea. Because also, if I'm a doctor and I specialize in euthanasia and stuff like that,
it just seems so easy. Honestly, it just seems like just load someone up with like morphine and fentanyl.
Well, it's not even like the process, right? Like the mental health of it, right? Like being like okay to go home knowing that you euthanized 3 people today.
I got it. I'm a genius.
Okay.
Why not just because it's so cheap on the streets? I mean, I don't know how cheap it is, but I mean, I would assume it's cheap since some homeless people do it.
Yeah.
Just OD someone on like heroin. Like, I mean, controlled by the hospital, but they just overdose you on heroin.
But then that'd be against the whole thing of easiest, most harmless way to go out type of thing.
That's pretty easy and pretty harmless.
I mean, aren't you like tripping the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So let's put it this way: heroin is so good to people that they would rather be homeless and not try in the world.
Well, it's addictive.
Exactly. Like boom, like they want it's that good. Heroin is that good to these people that I mean they're all about it. That it is their world. So why not just I mean if it's so good, why not just give these people, that heroin high and just OD them?
Not everybody's addicted to heroin. Not heroin's not good to everybody.
Like, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. Of course. And then again, like, I mean, well, I guess if you're religious, you wouldn't do suicide in the first place, but it could be against like religious beliefs, but it contradicts itself. So I don't know. That's a dead end, dude. That's a dead end. It's just I don't know, man. And plus, I feel like also like suicide tends to become. Well, I don't know. Don't quote me on this. This is just kind of me spitting ideas out there. But I feel like suicide, for the most part, it tends to be like moods. It's not. I mean, it could be like a whole like a set in stone type of thing. But a lot of times, like, be like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. I had the worst day of my life. You know what? That's it. And it's like that. It's got to happen now or never type of thing. Because if you wait enough to like fill out forms and pay the $4,000 or the $10,000 or whatever, and consent to it, like you might be like, I'm not down anymore. I'm gonna back out. So, dude, so many things against euthanasia, but like okay, final point, have the option. Period.
Fair enough. I'm with it.
That's it.
Any final words on euthanasia? That's it? That is your final word?
Yeah, man.
That's just my final word too. It's just one of those sticky topics.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just there's so many factors to consider: pricing, competent, other options. I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Yep.
Good topic, though. Right. Good topic. If you guys have a different idea, if you guys
tell us about it.
Yeah, if you guys are experienced perhaps in the medical field as far as how the process works, what the cost is.
Because at the end of the day, we're just plebs and we're just spitballing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not experts.
Yeah, dude. What do you think about modern warfare? Is it called modern now? I don't know. What is it? We can't be futuristic because we'll never be in the future, but 21st century warfare.
Yeah, it's somewhat futuristic. I mean, the military is also supposed to be like 10 years advanced technology that will eventually trickle down.
Yeah, civilians.
So I mean, who knows? It basically is future warfare. We're just behind the curtain.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, man. Well,
that wraps up episode 14 about euthanasia and mandatory military service. Catch us soon on the next episode. We're going to try to get some more guests, maybe a third guest here. Yeah. So stay posted, follow us, like the video, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. That's the only social media outlet that we have. And stay tuned.
Yeah, we love you. We enjoy all your comments. For the people who do comment, yes. The likes, on any messages, you can always message us on our Instagram, on our YouTube. Of course, I think you can send us voicemails through Spotify. There's a link in our little bio thing. We can send us a voice message. And for all the Google people, if we're on Google, I don't even know, but I know we're on Apple. We're on Apple Podcasts. Yes. We appreciate all the views, all the love and support, whatever support there is. We love it. Alrighty.
And that concludes episode 14.